Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you're all terrific. Gee, the weather outside's gorgeous, so I'm really enjoying today. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm just going to make a really short video about assessment 1.6. It's really straightforward, this assessment, so please make sure that you're not making it more complicated than it should be, and that you're not overthinking it. You need to keep an eye on the marks allocated, and you know for this assessment it is only 10 marks. Now, there was a couple of messages on the discussion board that I noticed that people were a bit confused what they had to do. So what I want you to do is to think back to the care plan that you put together for Dylan, because that care plan really was designed to prepare you for this assessment. And if you remember the feedback that we gave you on that assessment, the main feedback was that most students didn't do well in writing SMART goals. So you've got to remember, a SMART goal is specific, measurable, achievable, it's realistic, and it's got a time frame. And the main point of writing really good SMART goals is to make sure that you can measure and evaluate them. So the example that I always give to students to get them to understand why this is so important is that I could set a goal for somebody that they lose weight. Now that's a really nebulous sort of goal, because how do you specifically measure it? So if I recast that goal, the goal is to lose 0.5 kilograms per week over the next 4 weeks. That's specific. It's realistic, it's achievable, it's definitely measurable, and we've given it a time frame. We've said to somebody, you need to lose half a kilo each week for 4 weeks. So what you need to do in this assessment is simply work through the questions. If it was me, I'd put it in a table just like the assessment you did for Dylan. So I'd put in each column the questions. So the first question is, what problem, issues or challenges do you think might be applicable to Jessie? Now you need to have 10 of these in total. So an example of one that I've just come up with in a couple of minutes is, I've said that independence is really important for Jessie, and your issue, problem or challenge could be, how could she be supported to become more independent? The second thing you've got to answer, so I'd stick that in the first column. The second is, what questions would you need to ask her to gain an understanding of whether your identified problem, issue or challenges were applicable? So in my example, it might be, Jessie, you seem to be very independent. Can you please tell me about any areas where you would like greater independence, or you would like to become more independent? Because if you think about it, when we're encouraging her to self-manage, that's about coaching her to achieve her very best. The third question, and I've got it written here, is, for each problem, issue or challenge, develop one tentative goal that might be applicable to Jessie. So for mine, it might be, by the end of this session, develop a list with Jessie of areas where she would like greater independence, and work with her to prioritise these. So it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic. So I hope that's clear. Then it says, for each goal, what self-management tools, interventions or strategies could be used to support Jessie to self-manage? So the thing I would think about is motivational interviewing, and I would write that that motivational interviewing would be good to achieve that goal, and I would reference that. So I would put in a key reference, a quick description of what motivational interviewing and why that was helpful, and I'd reference it. But again, not a lot of detail. You're talking about having to do 10 of these, so essentially it's 1 mark each. And then the final is, for each goal, what member of the multidisciplinary team would be the most appropriate to support her, and what would be their role? So I would say this would be a good role for a person with a portfolio of health coaching, and I would reference and explain what this person could do. So in other words, work with Jessie to do some motivational interviewing and some health coaching with her, for her to meet the goals that you've set. Now, what I've scribbled down here in my notes to remind you, remember 2 key things. So you have to have 10 of these. So you need 10 problems, and then you've got to have questions, tentative goal, self-management tool, and member of the multidisciplinary team. So as I said, I just stick them in columns. I'd have 10 of them, and I would just do it like that. So question I've had is about referencing. If you are drawing on factual material that's not widely known, you need to reference it. And please remember that at least 2 of the goals must relate to the NDIS. Now in week 8, you were given heaps of information about the NDIS. The NDIS is underpinned, so what underpins the whole of the NDIS is the principle of people with diabetes at the centre of decision making and planning. So you need to make sure that 2 of your goals relate to the NDIS. So it might be as simple as, giving you a quick example, to ensure that over the next 4 weeks, Jessie has a full understanding of the NDIS and how it applies to her. So look, I hope that's really helpful. As I said, it's just a brief summary, but this is not a difficult assessment. So let me know if that helps, and I hope you're all fabulous. The sun is shining in Bendigo, and I'm going to go home. Okay, see you later. Talk soon. Post me up some questions if you need a hand. I'm really keen, and I'm going to start nagging about the subject evaluation, which I'll post something up about that soon. Okay, take care. See ya.